Welcome one and all to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. As it's time, we're seeing hopefully a storm that people stay safe, people are okay with Hurricane Ian, and it is north of the South Florida area, but we have been getting bans the last couple of days, and we should get rain throughout today. And you never know what happens with rain. It's not always right then. You may feel the effects after the fact. Leaks are a problem when it comes to major storms. It's something you should keep an eye on. But if you have Water Cleanup of Florida on your side, you don't have to worry. They'll take care of everything for you. They'll make sure to dry it, clean it, fix it, and with licensed, insured, certified contractors, they'll make sure to make the entire area look brand new, all themselves. You can give them a call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, with over 60 years of combined experience between Michael, Robert, and their entire team. You call them, 954-579-0356. They will make it happen for you. Again, when leaks happen, you don't want to have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. You won't have to go to a million different places. Just go to one place, 954-579-0356. That is the number to call. They service Miami, Broward, Palm Beach counties. They cover all the South Florida area. No other place for you to have to worry about going when you have any kind of water issue. If you have any leak damage, possible leaks, go right to them. Check them out on their website at wcufl.com. Again, that number to call, 954-579-0356. Check them out on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Water Cleanup FL. Go to Google. Don't worry. Look, they've worked on my home, so I'm telling you from experience just how good they are. But if you want some further advice, some further info on them, some further research, Google with over 70 5-star reviews. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts. Well, so far, the Dolphins have had lots of guts. The Canes, not so much. The Miami Heat may be coming. We talk about all of it right now with one and only Dave Hyde, one of the longest tenured South Florida sports writers, sports columnists, a national name. The one and only Dave Hyde joined us today on the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
This guy would make any sports section great. But whether it's a diminished art or not, to put together a great sports section in every city, still doing it with the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. Any part, of a newspaper that contains the work of the great Dave Hyde is going to be elevated quite a bit. So we welcome him to the show here, and he's been doing great stuff. David, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Defo, whatever function you want to do reading the paper, you do that. Just read the paper these days.
As long as you read it, it gives a damn.
I love it. I get a lot out of it. I mean, I still do, believe it or not. And they go into great detail. I mean, they have like 5 pages of hockey, exhibition hockey yesterday in the New York Post. So they do have the liberty, the so-called space, to be able to extrapolate and, go ahead and, theorize and do all kinds of different hypotheticals about what's going on with their teams. Whereas here, we're limited to just the facts, my friends. And now we're trying to figure out what exactly those are. You've had many, many interesting things to write about so far, and I think maybe that's the number one turnabout with the Miami Dolphins. They're actually exciting again, and interesting, which is good, and interesting from a positive standpoint. So, what's your feeling, Dave Hyde, about this 3-0 start? What are the key components?
It's a great time to be alive. Great time to be alive,
Yeah.
Defo, because for 20 years, those damn New England Patriot writers were writing books and appearing on national television about their team,
Right.
and becoming celebrities, and
Right.
we were writing about the next Dolphin coach. So any sports writer who says they wouldn't rather cover a winner than a loser really doesn't understand the business. So the fact that Dolphins are 3-0 and an exciting 3-0, they not only played in dramatic games, these last 2 especially, but they beat good teams. So it's a fun start to the year in a way that I can't say it's been for Dolphin seasons for 2 decades now.
Oh, you would have been with Tony Reale, a permanent spot on Around the Horn,
Yes.
if the Dolphins had done this
I
20
would've.
years ago.
100%.
Making all kinds of capital.
Can you imagine Bill Plaschke? I would have Bill Plaschke's place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Better looking than Plaschke.
Well, he has Los Angeles Times under it, and I have South Florida Sun Sentinel. Maybe that would not carry the day.
I don't know. The Dave Hyde name and brand carries
Yeah, you
an
kidding
awful
me?
lot of weight. That's a certainty, at least in our minds and
100%.
hearts as well. All right. Has Tua distinguished himself to the point where we can erase some of the question marks, or I mean, it still seems like there are a few things that he would have to establish that he could do on a consistent or more permanent basis. To make you a believer. I don't know how deep of a believer are you right now in Tua Tagovailoa?
I hate the litmus test. Every throw to is a litmus test, it seems like. But look,
Yeah.
he's made great progress this year. Great progress. And you put him, now we see, okay, you put him in a good offensive system with some great receivers to throw to, and some of the questions have gone away. And I was one of those guys on the fence. I need to see some. I wasn't a believer. I wasn't a disbeliever. I said I need to see something. And he was electric in that Baltimore game for the first time since his rookie year against Arizona, when you first saw him and you thought, oh, they got a good quarterback. And then for the next year and a half, it was sort of, well, he's not making mistakes. And once in a while he'd have a nice throw, or he wouldn't have a nice, and you're just kind of, I was just waiting. And then, so for the first time in the end of that Baltimore game, you saw a dramatic player. At least I did, from my eyes. And then he had another good game against Buffalo. And Ryan Fitzpatrick said it best yesterday. He's on a conference call with reporters for Amazon. He's doing working the game Thursday night, and he said the next step's consistency, and that's the hardest step. It's the one I couldn't get to. He said I'd be up and I'd be down, but consistency is the separator between good and great in any sport. You knew Michael Jordan would go out and could score 30 points, and he definitely scored 20 points every night out, and so. Can Tua get to the point where these games are his standard and not, wow, that's the first time we've seen that in over a year. So, but great progress. How can you not just say, okay, now you've seen some of the stuff. It looked more like the Alabama Tua, didn't it, than what we've seen for the past couple of years.
Yes, he's been decisive. He's gotten the ball out. He's throwing it before guys are getting to spots. The anticipation thing, the accuracy, he's actually getting the ball down the field. All that, his pocket awareness is much better than it had been. But heading to this year, Dave, we talked to you a lot. We've been privileged to talk to you a lot. The questions were Tua and McDaniel. And McDaniel, to his credit, unlike Flores, attached himself directly to Tua. He said, this is my guy. That's why I'm coming here. I know he can be something. So far, he's looked right. And so far, he's faced 3 coaches that were pretty high in esteem. And by most accounts, he's outcoached him. Where are you with McDaniel so far in his career? As he seemed to be the 3rd or 4th choice for the Dolphins, and that might be a good thing because they fell ass backwards into the guy that may be their franchise head coach.
It's the opposite game of George Costanza.
100%.
Do hire the opposite coach of what you look. When he came in here, remember, he was the Dolphins were the only team to interview him.
Yes, yeah.
There were 9 teams with openings. Some interviewed 10, 11 coaches.
Yep.
And he was he's sidestepped so far some of the normal problems first year coaches have. And look at Nathaniel Hackett in Denver. Right. I mean, those are and we've seen it here. Not you have to pump the brakes a little, because every coach the Dolphins has hired, the first year has been the best year. Going back to Dave Wanstead, Nick Saban, not Cam Cameron, Tony Sperano made the playoffs his first year. Adam Gase made the playoffs his first year. Philbin's first year was his best year. So maybe it's the change or whatever, but the larger point is, a lot of the ideas that McDaniel's brought in has worked, starting with embracing Tua. I mean, that was always a smart move from a lot of regards. First of all, he's married to Tua, whether he likes it or not. So why not make it, why not put your arm around him and say you love him? And they've formed a quick partnership. Tua is responding to the way McDaniel coaches, and McDaniel is put the offense into his hands, and a lot of firepower there. But just personally, even before the game, I love McDaniel from just listening to him in press conferences standpoint. He's different than other coaches, and you can see it just by how he answers questions and what he reveals and the jokes he makes, and I think there's a spot for that in a sport that's always had the dictator coaches win.
Well, and he's very humble about everything that goes on as well. Even though he's had great success so far, the Dolphins have won 3 games in 3. You would have to say somewhat distinctly different fashions. Although 2 of the wins have been predicated on outstanding defense at the goal line, and then very opportunistic. And the Baltimore game, it was just incredible, like you said. I mean, it was an eye-opener for anybody that was a Tua detractor. And you said, wow, when they turned this guy loose. It's funny, too. I think McDaniel, one of the keys to his success has been nobody implied that he was a quarterback whisperer before he actually took the reins here of the team. That seems to be something that condemns you to a short-term, ill-fated tenure as an NFL coach, maybe never to get another head coaching job again. I do have to ask you this, Dave. Have you, and I want to say there was the occasion where every now and then we get so deep into the roster on hurricane coverage, not Miami Hurricanes, which is a whole other story, but maybe, equally catastrophic. In a figurative sense. But were you ever sent out on hurricane coverage by the Sun Sentinel in your tenure? Did you ever have to go down to the beach elbow exchange with Kim Bocamper as he was hanging from a palm frond, blowing in the wind? Have you ever gotten involved in hurricane coverage?
I've gotten involved in hurricane coverage, but not like television involvement where you're where's the worst place to stand on a beach? Oh yeah,
they always send the sports guy. No. I mean, they send him right into the eye of the storm.
I had to write. What they asked me to do is write columns about the hurricanes. One time I wrote about how the hurricane, and it's done this in a couple houses now, introduced me to like next door neighbors. He lived next to these people for years, and hi, how you doing? But hurricane, you need something, or they have extra plywood or whatever. And one of them, the most recent one had storm shutters, and I went down and borrowed them and talked to them and got to know them. And so it's the great communicator, the category 3 and above hurricane. It's the great facilitator to meet your neighbors.
Yeah. You got a generator, Joe? That's kind of nice.
You still have air conditioning?
It starts stealing a guy's power like I was, pirating his cable TV signal. Yeah.
Thank God that one, that thing is a monster. 155 mile an hour wind right now.
It looks ugly.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and I saw, these tornadoes. I mean, planes flipping there at North Perry Airport. It's not uncommon to have planes upside down at North Perry Airport, but not under those circumstances. Usually just, when one of those banner planes is landing, at that place. So they have that kind of treachery. But no, it definitely is worth, you can't help but feel for the people that are going to be impacted by this and do nothing but cross your fingers and hope for the best. Yeah, they used to send me every now and then out to the beach, and you'd be covered with jellyfish. There'd be one on your face like you were Diana Nyad. Be having to do some live report. Yeah, it's windy out here. I tell you what, sand is blowing in my face right now. And that was it. You'd throw it back to Neil Rogers for a couple of comments after that. All right. Speaking of the Hurricanes, what I don't know, how much detail you got into there, because it seemed like you were dominating your presence with the Miami Dolphins, a much more positive story. But what do we read, if anything, into this loss to Middle Tennessee State?
Yeah, I didn't even go to it because the Dolphins were playing the
Nobody
Bills.
else did either. You're not alone.
And I thought
the entire
Middle
population
Tennessee,
was boycotting the game.
Yeah, I thought Middle Tennessee wouldn't be a measuring stick for where the Hurricane program is, and that's what you take away from it is Middle Tennessee sort of served as a wake up call of the honeymoon's over for Mario Cristobal. I mean,
already, wow.
Look, no one's pretending that, or at least I'm not, that this signals the program's, going down or this era is going down. But it certainly was a wake-up call of A, the roster that he inherited maybe, and B, what the heck is going on with Tyler Van Dyke? I mean, is it coaching? Because here you took a number one, a guy mentioned as a number one draft pick, and I mean a first round
Heisman
draft
Trophy,
pick, and
candidate,
and now he's benched, and there's a should he start the next game? Is it him? Is it coaching? It's just is the system. Whatever. I mean, a guy who under Rhett Lashley was great, and maybe that's the guy they really missed from last year. But there's so many questions that if and the real problem, they didn't just lose to Middle Tennessee; they got run off the field.
They got
I mean, that was the shocker. And so, did they, like me, not even think Middle Tennessee would be would be a game? We'll find out coming up what that game means. Okay, either it means that they're lost as a program right now, and Cristobal's going to have to recruit his way out of it, or maybe things weren't as bad as they looked that day. But they sure looked bad against Middle Tennessee.
That used to be our guy, that number 3, streaking down the field.
Yeah, for the 99.
It was always a Hurricane guy. It was like wide open, on one bomb, and then subsequently later in the game, boom, another one. This one, Horace Copeland-esque at 99 yards. I can hear Sonny Hurst screaming from the grave. 99 yards! Just incredible that they were able to answer back.
And from Kenny Dorsey, too, and now look at their weekend.
Yeah.
Kenny Dorsey was the one throwing the ball, and now look at their weekends, Defo. They're
throwing a fit.
Hurricanes are losing one day, and Kenny Dorsey is losing his mind the next day.
Was that not the most surprising meltdown, though, that you've seen? I mean, you were covering the Canes when Kenny Dorsey was a quarterback. He was a mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper. I mean, the kid was pretty mellow, was he not?
I loved it. That seeing the real emotion coming out like that. But you could never get him off monotone as the intellectual quarterback. Look, he's a great guy, smart guy, but he just it told you what the Dolphins have done to people this season. There it is. There's the classic emotion, volcanic outpouring of emotion after a game. He slammed everything in front of him. It was amazing.
Thank God there was no food up there. I mean, it would have looked like a scene out of Animal House in the press box. I've seen hot dogs get thrown around in there, and I did work with a very volatile Sonny Hurst who had action on every game. And something would go wrong for the Hurricanes. I believe there's still a hole in the orange box press, in the now would be Marlins Stadium press box wall that might have like a plaque around it dedicated to Sonny Hurst when I think it might have been that game we referenced before against East Carolina when the Pirates looked like they were going to take the lead in the game, and Sonny had money on the Finns, laying a lot of points. All right, one more thing, Dave Hyde. I always appreciate you coming on the show here on the sporting front. I don't know if you attended this. I'm not sure, what your approach is about Heat Media Day, but one thing I've noticed is that as you look at the coverage of other teams, I mean, you have this whole mysterious Udoka thing in Boston and a new guy taking over as coach. We don't know if Kevin Durant is going to kiss Steve Nash or take his head off with a right hand. The Knicks believe that maybe they found a solution, even though they know that that's not the case. Ayton doesn't want to speak to Monty Williams. We've had all these different controversies emerging from what would normally be a very tepid press situation.
Celtics don't have a coach?
Media Day, yeah, I mentioned that. And okay. And then the only issue with the Heat is where did Jimmy Butler get the hair? Is that good or bad?
Yeah, that's what happens when you bring virtually the whole team back. And so, I like to have a little change on the team just for energy and health's sake. Yet they were one shot away from going to the finals. So it's hard to say, wow, this is bad. But just for energy, I would prefer to have somebody in the mix a little different. But to me, the takeaway from Heat Media Day was Kyle Lowry saying he didn't really pay attention to Pat Riley as far as conditioning and all that stuff, which was interesting. An interesting take.
Yes.
You got the veteran, who has 2 more years on his contract, saying, whatever, I've made my career fine. I don't need to listen to anybody. So we'll see how this plays out.
Thus spoke Zarathustra. That leads to a lot of DNP CDs, does it not? Saying something in defiance of a Pat Riley credo? Yeah, they need Kyle Lowry to be back as Kyle Lowry, as he was, for the first half or for a good stretch of last season when they were playing well. They could have used him in certain spots in the end. Hey, I got to push 2 books. One is Jimmy Johnson's Swagger. 2 books.
About
Wait
to
a minute.
come out in November. Coming up, I know.
Yeah.
And listen, the other one, 50th anniversary edition.
Oh, it's back.
Of a book I wrote 20 years ago, still perfect, about the Miami Dolphins, forward by Don Shula, and that's out on Amazon.
Wow.
So it's hey, I got my own little machinery, but Jimmy was on with Peyton Manning the other night. Hilarious. I'm really looking forward to that book coming out.
Well, he's a great storyteller, and he remembers all kinds of intimate details about things that went on. In fact, he probably could get to the bottom of that Udoka thing. Which what was it? The owner's wife? Have you speculated at all about that in any columns, or have you heard anything? Because usually the press is very good at coming up with these details. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't talked to anybody in Boston about it. I'm curious what the poll question, what the answer is, what the people think up there. But I haven't talked to anybody yet. So, and
it had to be somebody very high up, though. Yeah. Very high up there in the hierarchy, whose wife he was banging, because to get that kind of, they might have just kind of kept it very quiet, but it seemed an overwhelming concern for the Boston Celtics that there was a relationship going on with somebody on the staff. So I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that. It's not really my business. It is kind of interesting, and here we are with the Miami Heat. I guess it's a good thing that things remain status quo. Pleasure. Dave Hyde, ladies and gentlemen.
Always enjoy our conversations with one and only Dave Hyde. Learn a lot. You should definitely check him out. Sun Sentinel, sunsentinel.com. He definitely does a tremendous job writing a lot about the Miami Dolphins. He was very realistic, very cautious, and he's coming over to, I don't know about the dark side, but he's coming over to the Dolphins side, as he's been very positive, is the word I would say, positive about the Miami Dolphins lately, as most people have. How you not? Big weekend for the Dolphins, big weekend for the Canes. We also talked a little bit about the Miami Heat, as, once again, they're getting underestimated. They bring back their group. Okay, good. They were a shot away from the finals. Oladipo's now healthy in a way he's never been with the Miami Heat. You have Hero more motivated than ever. And Bam, who took a nice step last year, seems like he's ready to take another step. Plus those young guys, another year to me. I didn't need them to go get someone else. It would have been cool to keep P.J. Tucker. But with Jay Crowder out there, he can fill that P.J. Tucker role. I think the Miami Heat are primed to be one of the best teams in the NBA. And outside of the Warriors, there's no one in the East I would take. Like, the Bucks, to me, are right there. But Middleton's coming off an injury, so you don't know what he's going to be. And the Nets, that's a whole head case of a disaster. The Sixers, head case of disaster. Like, to me, the Heat are right there. The Heat didn't need to make any changes. They have a group that knows how to play with one another. They've had a lot of success in the regular season and the playoffs. And I can't wait to see what they have to offer this season. If you want to check out more of what we have to offer, tomorrow morning, 7 to 9, South Florida Live, The Defo Show with Lubie. Look both of them up on YouTube or Google. Check out our national podcast, The Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. And each and every day, or most days, our South Florida content right here, The Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.